Well, good evening, class. I think it's time to warm the sake because there's a storm of brewing here in the Lehigh Valley. The campus has got word of a storm that is coming through the Northeast, Pennsylvania into New Jersey, a little bit of New York. That's going to hit us, I guess, what? Through Wednesday into Thursday. I think we may have, I wouldn't say dodged a bullet because we don't know yet, but I think that we are in the clear from our schedule. I think we should be able to. The storm will hopefully go through and not delay our trip on Friday. I think we're in a good place for that because also too, I think where we're flying out is JFK, which is on the east side of New York. I think it's not supposed to be as bad as it's going to be here on the east side of Pennsylvania. So I think we'll be okay. And especially, I think the weather on Friday after the storm passes is going to be pretty good. And we're leaving, late at night too. So I think we are going to be okay. But it will be an interesting couple days here for us as we kind of finish up our school week. And I think some of you may get a couple days break before our trip to rest up for our trip. So that'll be we'll see how it goes. All right. So tonight, what I want to do is go over want to do one video. I'm going to try to make it short. I know my last video was really super long, and that usually happens. Actually, I kind of blame the art department at NCC because I'm so used to teaching 2-hour long lab classes and the art department. So I'm just used to kind of just talking. Sorry, I apologize for that. But hopefully you guys are able to take a look at some parts of the video that I put up because I did try to list them by time code and topics so that you guys can kind of hone in on specific thing area that I talked about the trip or by this week's content, which is the food in Japan, which is really important for you guys to take a look at before our trip. Now, one thing I want to do tonight, we'll do another video tomorrow night too because I'm going to try to break this up. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this relatively short. I want to talk to you about our preparing for our flight on Friday. We're going to go over some of the information that I have in the Unit 7 folder on Blackboard. And remember that I mentioned this in the last video that this week, it's not just looking at Unit 6, which is our food content, learning about Japanese food, but also you need to look ahead to Unit 7. So you want to look ahead in the Week 6 folder, and you want to look at all the content that I have, okay? Now, I'm not expecting you guys to really go over every piece of content in this folder, okay? But I want you to be familiar with everything that's here. Highlight certain areas. Like in the next video, I'll talk about the locations that we're going to be visiting in Japan, and then talk about some things you may want to bookmark and make note of, because you guys may want to take advantage of some of those locations while either at night or when we have our off times, other than our group times together during the day. So please take a look at that, and I will go over that in the next video. So what I want to do tonight is just talk about our flight. Okay, so if you look in the required reading and videos. Also, before I talk about that, you'll see that in this folder, it's kind of laid a little bit differently. I have the flight schedule where we're departing. So we're all meeting at NCC at 8:15 at night on Friday. So please be there. We're going to be meeting by the Hampton Winds restaurant in that area. There should be, I'm not sure if we're taking vans or bus. I have to confirm that with Nate. But there'll be some mode of transportation that we're all going to pile into and work our way out to JFK and then be at the airport nice and early. Or have a good buffer because they want us to be there 3 hours ahead of time for an international flight. So we'll have some time, a little bit of downtime at the airport. We'll get to know each other a little bit better while we're waiting to get on our plane. So that should be a fun time. All right. Also, I have subway maps and train schedules. You might want to take a look at that. What I tried to do was, and I'll talk about this, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about this tonight, but I did lay out perspective routes for you to take from different locations, both in Tokyo and for us going from from Akashi to Kyoto and possibly going to Kobe. I mapped out a few routes using the train and kind of using Google Maps. Also found a good app that I'll post to our Facebook group, and I'll talk about that in the next video. Good kind of a train metro app that looks really, really nice. And I checked out some of the schedules in Japan for the train schedules, and I think that'll be actually really super helpful. So I'll talk about that app a little bit later. Also, please take a look at our travel schedule. I have a Google Doc. I think everybody's probably taken a look at it by now. But what I would do is I would bookmark the schedule in your mobile browser. You can open up. It should be mobile compatible for your browser, and I think you should be able to bring this up. Or if you actually have the if you actually install the Google Drive or the Google Sheets app, you may be able to actually bring it up in there. Would actually work a lot better. But please take a look at the schedule and also bookmark it, because this kind of does lay out hour by hour our schedule that we're going to be going on. Now, like I said, we will still be traveling to Japan. We might have to be flexible. The schedule may change, especially we'll see how it goes as we kind of arrive and as we kind of get it. But like I said, this is kind of at least what you will see from the schedule. These are kind of the big kind of areas that we're going to. Like when we're in Tokyo, this is where, on Monday, for example, we're going to the Zoji Temple and we're going to walk into Shibuya and Harajuku, the Meiji Junko Shrine. So we're going to these certain locations on these specific days. So you want to take a look at that, and so you can be familiar. And I do have content, which I'll talk about in the next video, about each one of these locations. Okay, so please bookmark this schedule. But like I said, tonight what I want to do is just quickly talk about some of the things to note about in the required reading. I have a pre-flight checklist and a luggage and packing. Okay, because this is what you guys should be thinking about before we leave on our trip. You guys want to make sure you guys are prepared with the bags you're be packing, how you're be packing it, making sure you pack enough but not too much. Make sure you stay under the weight limit. Make sure you kind of keep all those things in mind. So I have some information about that. If you look in the pre-flight checklist, I have, let me see, the first link, I have a link to the Air China, since we're flying on Air China. I have a link to their website that kind of gives you a lot of information about the baggage policies, also their dangerous goods policy, which I think covers the lithium batteries, which is something I took a look at, because I'll be taking a portable battery with me, making sure it's under the wattage, which they say there's their limits. That's good. So you want to make sure you take a look at their policies regarding to their baggage. So if you stay in this baggage services, you kind of get all the information you need to know regarding to their limits of how much you can pack, which you should do. Our policy for this trip is that we're going to ask you to only take or check one bag. Okay. Now their policy they're trying, you can actually check 2 bags, but we're going to only ask you to only have one medium. Please make it medium size. Don't make it a large size if you can. But if it has to be a large, as long as it's under 50 pounds, you should be okay. But like I said, what we talked about, or you saw probably my previous posts and videos, where where we're going, we're going to be doing a lot of walking, a lot of transit from the airport to our hotel. We're going to be doing a combination of walking through various train stations, walking on streets. It's going to be also our large group of 25 people. We're going to make sure everybody stays together. So it's gonna the fewer bags that you can cart, the better. Trust me, I learned this the hard way, and Miko warned me, and I did believe her, but I still did not fully listen. And I overpacked on my first trip, and I paid for a price. But what I got was a good bag. I purchased a good Japanese bag that I purchased there, and I'm really happy with it. It's my favorite bag. I actually probably the only one of the bags actually was I bought for myself, like a big suitcase. Usually I have some people giving me suitcases for gifts, but I think that that's a really kind of a cool suitcase I have, because mine broke down there because of I ran it ragged down on the streets of Tokyo. So please make note of that. We're only going to allow you to take one bag, so keep it on. I know. I think I forget who asked me about the question about can we check 2 bags, or possibly if you buy a ton of souvenirs or a ton of things on the way back, and you want to bring like a secondary bag. That's possible. I would just double check with Nate just to be sure. I know how he would handle that. I would say, like I said, we have to just double check on the Air China policies, even though I have the information there. But like I said, if you are really wondering about that, about bringing a second bag back because you have so much stuff, then it's definitely possible, because I believe you can check 2 bags. But each bag that you check has to be under 50 pounds. So please try to stay way under that 50 pounds. Don't try to push it, because once you go just a little bit over that, they're going to start dinging you with fees, and we're not going to be paying for those fees. You are going to be paying for those fees, and if you want your bags to come with you. So you need to, what I do is, if you are worried about that, like you have a heavy bag and you are suitcase, and you want to double check that, try to weigh it, if you can, try to do an approximate weight. Try to stay around 40 pounds if you can. You don't want to push that 50 pounds, because that becomes an issue, and then what I've heard is that students will have to start asking other students to start putting stuff in their bags. But I think when we're all going to Japan, we're trying to stay to one bag, every bag's going to be full. So I don't want you to make everybody feel uncomfortable by asking to start divvying up some of the luggage or starting to spread your luggage around because you're going over that 50 pounds. Okay, that's going to not start a trip off well. It's going to provide a little bit of an awkward situation. So please keep the bags light. Okay, try not to overpack. We're only going there for a week. Like I said, I think the temperature, I thought it was gonna be a little bit warmer than it is, and maybe our friends over in our Facebook group or from the Akashi College, Maybe they can kind of help us out. Maybe kind of talk about me. What I'll do is make a post about this and ask them to comment on what do they think the weather's going to be like. Because even though we can kind of see the temperature, checking out like our weather apps and kind of see where it's going to be at, they'd be the best to know and kind of have an idea of what the weather based on the forecast is going to be like over there. So maybe we'll ask them this week and maybe they can give us some feedback on that. But I think the weather's going to be around the 60s or so. So I thought it was going to be a little bit warmer, closer to 70s, but we'll see. Like I'm just hoping is that we have, relatively good weather, not too much rain. I think then it should be fine. I'd rather, 60 degrees to 70 degrees is kind of a nice in between. It's not too hot, not too cold. So it should be fine. Especially doing a lot of walking outside. I actually think you're going to actually like having it be 60 degrees outside, especially if it's sunny out. So please be mindful of that with your packing. Okay, like I said, don't try to pack too much. Try to stay with one bag. You can do one carry-on too. Looking at the policies there, China, they have like a weight limit. I think it was 11 pounds. So you want to make sure your one bag is also not too heavy. And also too, the overhead bins, because these planes, these international flights, I don't know how many actually ride on a single plane, but you can actually see a picture here that I have this is actually from Air China. They jam a ton of seats in this plane, especially in the economy section, which we're going to be. So there's only so much overhead space for all these people. So your bag that you have that you're going to bring with you, like I'd recommend like a backpack or something, or a relatively sized bag that's the size of like a backpack would be, then I wouldn't go farther than that, okay? Because if they do sense that it's too large or it's too heavy, it's too big to fit in the bin, or let's say the bin get full, then they're going to actually ask you to check that bag. They're just going to take it, put it underneath the plane, and you won't have access to it for after 13 hours. So you want to be careful about that. Like I said, try to the back. If you're going to be taking a backpack, not make it too heavy, not stuff it too full, and then not make it too bulky, because you have to fit it in the overhead bins, or it has to fit underneath the seat in front of you. But then that's if you have a huge bag down there and you can't stretch out your feet, and especially on a long flight, that gets to be a real pain. So you want to make sure that you're just mindful of your carry-on, and also for your check luggage, make sure that is a relatively light to underneath that 50 pounds. Don't push that too far. All right. Okay, one other thing we'll talk about too. Like I said, if you want to, please check out this Air China information page. Definitely double check, especially if you're going to be taking any external batteries. Like if you guys are bringing, I think the camera batteries, rechargeable batteries, they should be fine unless you bring like a really huge video camera, but you shouldn't be doing that. But if you're just bringing like a battery pack to recharge, if it's relatively small, like it's under 100 watts, then you should be totally fine. Let me know if you have a question about that, because I'm bringing one myself, and I did a little research about that, making sure we could take it. So if you have a question about that, if you have a mod, if you bought a battery pack or you have one, you're worried about that, let me know, and I'll look up the model myself, and we'll see if we can figure it out if it's going to be okay or not. Worst case too, if you go there and then you're worried about it, you can always talk to the people who are checking in your bags from Air China. You could ask them about that, and if they sound a little bit concerned about something that you're bringing on the carry-on, you could just put it in your checked-in bag before you check your bags in. Okay. But I don't know. Like if I ask them should I put this battery in my check bag, I'm sure they're probably gonna say yes. So I don't know. I don't know how much I trust that. But so you want to be careful about that. Also too, about what to do on the plane. Because this is gonna be a long flight. We're flying to China, and then we're connecting in China, and then heading over to Tokyo. So the longest leg is going to be from JFK to China. It's going to be, I think, 13, 14 hours. I'll double check the times. But it's going to be a long flight. And I was actually, when my first flight, and that was the longest flight I've been on. The other flights I was over to Europe, and that was really like nothing. That was like 6-8 hours, or I think like 8 hours or something like that. Or 6 to 8 hours. And that was really nothing compared to the 14 hours. But the one thing that I actually was surprised at, if you kind of prepare your mind ahead of time, that you're going to be on this long flight, you're not going to be able to get out of this plane, and you're kind of stuck here, then your mind and body kind of accept it, and it just kind of works out. You'll definitely get tired. You'll definitely take some naps, and you'll be able to kind of get through it. Also, one thing I didn't note about here too on this list here, bring some like protein bars or granola bars or something like that. Definitely have some stuff to snack on while on the plane, because we should have at least like 3 or 4 things to bring on. I'm not a big fan of airline food, and what you'll probably see me do is maybe I'll eat like a little bit of it, but actually I'm really afraid, even though it's last week I talked about food and I'm so venturistic, but I've actually had weird experiences too with airline food, where if I eat something, I get an upset stomach, and then I'll have to like be awkwardly going to the airplane bathroom a little more than I want to. So I would probably gonna myself. I'm a little more careful about that because of this. I've even though I can eat a lot of stuff for some reason, just airline food does not agree with me. So I kind of try to keep it to a minimum unless it looks really safe. So, but I do bring like protein bars, granola bars, stuff to munch on. No, I think I'm fine then. It can definitely last. Also too, we're going to be at the airport. Before we get on the plane. And they have usually good foods at the airport and like the restaurants there. And also when we get off of China, we're going to have a 3-hour layover. So we'll have some time to get something to eat after we get off the plane. So I think it'll be fine. But just keep that in mind. You might want to bring something to eat because that'll make the trip better, especially if you're kind of sensitive to food wise and unsure about what to eat or not eat. All right. So, and one thing I do mention here is that usually the flights, these international flights, will have a power plug underneath the seat. You have like the row of like 3 or 4 seats. Usually have like at least 2 plugs between the seats, so you can you and the person next to you can kind of share that. And I thought it worked out well on our flight over there. Didn't have any problems charging, a variety of devices, and it worked out great. But also, that's not a guarantee because, I think some of the older models of planes, which who knows, I checked out the model of the plane. I don't have it noted what it is, but I did check that model out. And it looks like it's relatively new, and it looks like in the economy we have power sources, so that shouldn't be an issue. But we never know. They could swap out a plane. They could have like technical difficulties and change the plane in the last minute. That's definitely happened to me before a trip. And we'll go there, and there are some models of older planes that the economy seats do not have power. So there's a chance of that. Also, there's a chance that the power will not work, and maybe at your seat or all the seats for some reason. There's some technical issue. The one technical issue that Tom and I experienced was that the entertainment system that we have, and you'll see that on this image here, where you see all the seats and you see the displays in the back of the seats. That they have, a good selection of movies you can watch. That's what most people do. They go in there, they plug in their headphones into the jack, the stereo jack, and then they watch movies the whole way there. So usually that works out great. But what happened to Tom and I on the trip back is the system was totally down. Nobody could watch any movies at all, and people were not happy about that. For Tom and I, we kind of just rolled with it. We were so tired from that week that I think we slept pretty much 80% of the way back. So I think for us didn't matter. But the one thing I would suggest though, if you don't have power, if like for some reason either it's not available, or there's a technical issue, or the movie system goes, have a backup. Have something to do. Bring a book or something like that. You definitely want to have something to do just in case you don't have any access to anything, because it is a long flight. So you can't sleep the whole time, and also sleeping on a plane can be hard. I do recommend bringing some things to oh, look at you're posted. Or I should disable my notifications there, but so I would definitely bring something, okay? So you can have something to look at, to watch, to play with, and but also don't bring too much either. Don't want to, like when I traveled last time, I brought my laptop, I brought an iPad, I brought multiple devices because I didn't know what I wanted to do there, and also I didn't know I had to do a little bit of work for the presentations we were doing over Japan. So when Tom and I went, so I actually worked on the presentations a bit there. But one thing I will warn you to is please don't rely on the Wi-Fi. I've had hit or miss on other flights with Wi-Fi, but overall, especially the one going the international Wi-Fi, it was really super bad. Like you can pay, I think it's cost like $15 for the whole trip, and you maybe think like, oh, that's kind of a good deal. It's all of internet the whole way, and either the internet is so slow, which you definitely don't even think about streaming audio or video or anything like that. That's not going to be possible. But just sending like basic emails or just bringing up websites to reference, it's going to be slow, and also be hit and miss too. It'll be spotty where like you're using it, and then it'll just go out for like 3 to 5 or 10 minutes, and then it'll come back again. So when I was working, I'm so used to being connected to the internet to look up things all the time while I'm working and to just have that as a resource, and I didn't have that, so it was a real pain to actually try to get some stuff done. So, and also I was trying to communicate and chat with some people that I was asking questions with, and it was just really, really bad. So what I'm doing, I'm not bringing my laptop. I'm not going to be worrying about working on the plane because, or the work I can do, what I'm going to be doing, like I have a couple things I want to read, some digital books that I'm doing some research on. So I'm going to bring those. I'm going to bring it on my iPad. And then that's all I'm going to use. I have my iPad. I think I'm going to just bring my Nintendo DS because it's really small and light. And my phone, and that's about it. I would recommend if you could bring your own earplugs or headphones. I think that would be good too to have, because they will give you those as part of the airline, but they're going to be using some crappy headphones. If you're going to be watching a lot of movies or listening to stuff, you want to listen to something, you kind of, good devices if you have them. All right, so please make note of that. Also, if you have questions, like I said, additional questions about the flight, about packing, about anything, two things: either asking the pre-questions discussion board, which I'm checking that each night, or just asking Facebook. Honestly, from this point on, I would suggest, honestly, you guys just ask your questions on Facebook, because we have everybody on there, and we have people in there from Japan too. We have people that are there that are not on the trip but have traveled a lot, and they'll be able to answer questions. If I can't answer questions, you'll have somebody on there that can right away for you. So I would just honestly just post to the Facebook group if you have any kind of pre-trip initial questions. I think you'll get the fastest response, and also a variety of responses too on there. All right, and also one last thing, when you're packing, one little suggestion I make, because if you see this last note I have here about the travel checklist by the TSA. One thing about liquids, we have most people have traveled in airplanes before this kind of trip, so you guys are probably used to they're after 9/11 and the security procedures, especially when it comes to liquids, how it got to be really stringent on what you could take, or how much you can take of certain containers. So you want to be careful of that. What I do when I travel, this goes for my carry-on and also my checked baggage, I'll put almost anything that's a liquid. Most of the liquids I take is really just bathroom supplies, like shaving cream or anything that I probably would have, or shampoo or something like that. So if it's going to be in a large container, over, I think what they say, you can only take 3.4 ounces or less per container. So usually if you go into like a drugstore, you can buy like these travel airplane size packages, or kind of pre-packaged name brand things to kind of pack in that are liquid, and that it's underneath that size. But what I do is, both for my carry-ons and my check-ons, so if I'm going to bring anything on my carry-on that is going to be liquid, which I don't think I'm actually going to do. The only thing I may bring is just some ibuprofen or pills or something like that. Actually, I don't think if I bring any liquid, I'm probably going to, just because I like a bottle of water or something like that. It'll be because I purchased it in the airport. And when you purchase it in the airport, you don't have to worry about it, because you go through security, go to one of those shops, buy some stuff there, just take on the flight, and it doesn't really matter. But before you go to security, when we first get to the airport, we then check our baggage, and then we go into security. What I'd recommend is definitely keep everything in a big Ziploc bag. If you do have to have some liquids in your carry-on bag, the security will look at it. And I find it's just easiest to just have everything together in one clear plastic bag. And when you go to have your bags inspected, just pull it out, right, and put it in the bin. Show it to them right up front, okay? Because then you would run less of a risk of them seeing something on the scanner through your bag and then having to check it. But as Tom will know, like he saw me, like I'll get my bags checked all the time because of the amount of cables and cords and electronics I'll take. My bag usually gets flagged for that. I think my bag looks like a bomb or something like that because of how many cables I have. But I'm going to try to be better with that this time. But I do recommend, though, if you do need to have any liquids of any sort, keep them under those limits, and take a look at these limits here. And also just keep everything one big Ziploc bag. So you can do it. I think they actually limit that, like one clear plastic bag. That's what they say, almost fit in one bag. So you definitely want to do that. Also, too, what I recommend for your check luggage too, because everybody will probably have bathroom supplies that they want to take with them. It's going to be over the ounces limit, and then it's fine for your checked-in bags. But what I recommend, though, especially for these international flights, I think are kind of weird about which bags they choose to inspect. I think Tom got a notice in his bag that it was actually, they opened it up and they checked it for some reason. I don't know. I don't think they put in why they checked it, but they did. But my bag was fine. But what I recommend doing is still doing the exact same thing. Trying to maybe do it in one or two big, super big Ziploc bags. Put all your liquids in that. I actually just put it right on top, the top of my suitcase. So if they do open it up, they can just easily just either look at it, move it out of the way, because if that was something that got flagged, then they could just take a look at it, then move on. Okay. So I would still recommend taking that policy and also doing this to your check bags too. And then what I'll do is I usually have like a bathroom bag that will, when we go to Japan, if we're, going to the bathroom and need to take like a bathroom, like a shower bag with me, what I'll do is I'll take, when I get there, check in, I'll just take all the stuff in the plastic bag and put it in my kind of carry bathroom bag with me. So, but I still kind of use that plastic bag technique even in my check luggage, because I'm always worried about if they take a look at your luggage, if something's going to get messed up or lost. So I'd rather just keep everything together, and it seems like it works out better instead of them kind of rummaging through and find my shower bag and then try to open that up and then go through it. I'm worried about something just happening with my luggage. So I still recommend kind of also doing that for your check bags. All right, so that was it. Probably definitely went over the 10 minutes. Where am I at here? 24. Man, I gotta get this. I gotta talk less. I don't know. I'm not good at this. All right, so, but it's definitely the 24 minutes is better than the hour video. So, all right, so that will be it for tonight. Hope you guys have a good night. If you guys are preparing for the storm here in the Lehigh Valley, I know at school we'll probably figure out how many days off. We might have Wednesday off, and who knows how bad this goes. We might also have Thursday off. So, like I said, maybe you guys that are at NCC will have a couple days off right before our trip to rest up our trip. So, that'll be interesting. The semester with weather has been really kind of weird and strange. Like it seems like it gets better, and then as soon as it feels like it's going to get better, and like the temperature's turned, it just totally does a 180, and then a big storm comes through. So I don't know. All right, so hopefully you guys have a good night. I will talk to you tomorrow. I'll do one more video. We'll see if I don't want, like I said, I'm trying not to keep these videos long. If the video starts to get long, like this one is starting to get long, then I will break it up and I'll do kind of split up in 2 videos that I'll do on tomorrow and then Wednesday night. All right. So I'll see you guys. Please talk and post on Facebook, and also, like I said, once again, just please keep up with your discussion posts, your journal posts. Try to get as much done as you can this week before we leave. So you can kind of get that out of the way, because remember the journals, that is a greater part of the course. So everybody has to make journal posts in order to get credit. That's like 30% of your grade. So you want to make sure you make at least 1 post so you can get credit for that. I mean, 1 post in each week for each journal. So make sure if you haven't done that much or any, please try to knock that out before we leave, so you don't have to worry about that. So you don't have to cram when you get back. And also keep up with your research. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys write and put together and create for your research and reflection projects, which so hopefully you guys are doing most of the work before we leave, and then be able to wrap it up after we get back to put in your final thoughts and talk about what you experienced over in Japan. All right, so I'll look forward to talk to you guys tomorrow, and then hopefully maybe also talk to you guys on Facebook today or tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. All right.